Hi, I'm Rashonda K. This is Reading with Rashonda. We are reading Our Nig by Harriet E. Wilson. We're on chapter 7 today. It's a short little chapter, so I don't think today's reading is going to be too terribly long unless I get riled up about something. I don't know. Let's find out. Chapter 7, Spiritual Conditioning of Nig. What are our joys but dreams, and what are hopes but goodly shadows in the summer cloud? By H.K.W. James did not improve as was hoped. Month after month passed away and brought no prospect of returning health. He could not walk far from the house for want of strength, but he loved to sit with Aunt Abby in her quiet room, talking of unseen glories and heart experiences, while planning for the spiritual benefit of those around them. In these confidential interviews, Fredo was never omitted. They would discuss the prevalent opinion of the public that people of color are really inferior, incapable of cultivation and refinement. That had to be an uncomfortable conversation. They would glance at the qualities of Nig, which promised so much if rightly directed. I wish you would take her, James, when you are well, home with you, said Aunt Abby in one of those seasons. Just what I am longing to do, Aunt Abby. Susan is just of my mind, and we intend to take her. I have been wishing to do so for years. She seems much affected by what she hears at the evening meetings, and asks me many questions on serious things, seems to love to read the Bible. I feel hopes for her. I hope she is thoughtful. No one has a kinder heart, one capable of loving more devotedly, but to think how prejudiced the world are towards her people, that she must be reared in such ignorance as to drown all the finer feelings. When I think of what she might be, of what she will be, I feel like grasping time till opinions change and thousands like her rise into a noble freedom. I have seen Fredo's grief, because she is black, amount to agony. It makes me sick to recall these scenes. Mother pretends to think she don't know enough to sorrow for anything, but if she could see her as I have, when she supposed herself entirely alone, except for her little dog Fido, lamenting her loneliness and complexion, I think, if she is not past feeling, she would retract. In the summer I was walking near the barn, and as I stood I heard sobs. Oh, I heard. Why was I made? Why can't I die? Oh, what have I to live for? No one cares for me only to get my work, and I feel sick. Who cares for that? Work as long as I can stand, and then fall down and lay there till I can get up. No mother, father, brother, or sister to care for me, and then it is, you lazy nigger, all because I am black. Oh, if I could die. That is so sad. I don't doubt it, but it is so sad. And what's even sadder to me is that there are people today, right now, who are lamenting, oh, but I'm black. If only I weren't black. And we've come a long way in the U.S. since slavery, but apparently not far enough. If people still feel like, oh, if only I weren't black. There's a book by George Schuyler called Black No More. I would read it in Reading with Rashonda, but it's not out of copyright yet. It hasn't been more than 100 years since it was published, but it's a fascinating little piece of science fiction, actually, and I do love my science fiction. Anyway, I got off topic. Imagine that. But Fredo wishes she could die because she was born black, and James was listening to her speech. I'll continue now. I stepped into the barn where I could see her. She was crouched down by the hay with her faithful friend Fido, and as she ceased speaking, buried her face in her hands and cried bitterly. Then, patting Fido, she kissed him, saying, "You love me, Fido, don't you? But we must go work in the field." She started on her mission. I called her to me and told her she need not go. The hay was doing well. She has such confidence in me that she will do just as I tell her. Is that confidence or is that obedience? She's accustomed to doing what white people tell her to do. That's her job, right? Sorry, I saw a little something in my hair there. Anyway, she has such confidence in me that she will do just as I tell her. So we found a seat under a shady tree, and there I took the opportunity to combat the notion she seemed to entertain respecting the loneliness of her condition and want of sympathizing friends. I assured her that Mother's views were by no means general, that in our part of the country there were thousands upon thousands who favored the elevation of her race. Who favored the elevation of her race, not necessarily the freedom of her race, but the elevation of her race. Disapproving of oppression in all its forms, that she was not unpitied, friendless, and utterly despised, that she might hope for better things in the future. Having spoken these words of comfort, I rose with the resolution that if I recovered my health, I would take her home with me, whether Mother was willing or not. I don't know what your mother would do without her. Still, I wish she was away. Susan now came for her long-absent husband, and they returned home to their room. The month of November was one of great anxiety on James's account. He was rapidly wasting away. A celebrated physician was called and performed a surgical operation as a last means. Should this fail, there was no hope. Of course, he was confined wholly to his room, mostly to his bed. With all his body suffering, all his anxiety for his family, whom he might not live to protect, he did not forget Fredo. He shielded her from many beatings and every day imparted religious instructions. No one but his wife could move him so easily as Fredo, so that in addition to her daily toil, she was often deprived of her rest at night. Yet she insisted on being called. She wished to show her love for one who had been such a friend to her. Her anxiety and grief increased as the probabilities of his recovery became doubtful. Mrs. Belmont found her weeping on his account, shut her up, and whipped her with the rawhide. Come on now, she's weeping for your own son. Dang! Mrs. Belmont found her weeping on his account, shut her up, and whipped her with the rawhide, adding an injunction never to be seen sniveling again because she had a little work to do. She was very careful never to shed tears on his account in her presence afterwards. And that is Chapter 7 of Our Nig by Harriet E. Wilson. I'm Rashonda Cade, and this is Reading with Rashonda.